Hi and welcome to the channel. Now today's video is about PCs not starting up and a few other little problems as well you may come across. Just going to give you a few, I would say few tips maybe, but maybe hopefully steer you in the right direction if you're going to try and mend it yourself. You're a complete novice. Doesn't necessarily mean it's these problems that come up are the solutions I'm going to give you. Doesn't necessarily mean that. Could be an host of things. As you know, these motherboards have got a host of components on there. But we're going to try and whittle down maybe one or two things and maybe one or two tips that may get your PC up and running. Now, before we start, this is an old PC. I did do a video saying to be a bit wary about buying these. This is a Dell Optiplex, and this is the 390. They do some other models. I'm going to put a link up to the video at the top there now. Is not to spend too much money on these because these are old units now and things can start to go wrong. You know, if you pick up £150, £200, that'd be probably the limit. Don't start spending 300 quid because it's got an i7 and 32 gig of RAM and a graphics card and that in there, because the motherboard, power supply, other things can let you down. So just bear that in mind really. But hopefully I'm going to create a few problems. I've got one problem already that is definite. I'm going to create a few more to hopefully, like I say, steer you in the right directions for it not booting up or giving some error messages and what they mean kind of thing. So now this, believe it or not, I've caused a fault on this already, and I've booted it up about 3 times and it's worked when it shouldn't have done really. It should have come up with a message on the screen. So this video will be cut here and there until I get that message to come back up and other bits and pieces about to work when they're not supposed to, and vice versa. So what I'm going to do is this is my wife's machine. I'm going to swap it over for my one very shortly. I just want to show you 2 faults on this machine here that may crop up. Then I'm going to go to mine and create a few more faults just in case I muck it up and my machine stops working. I'm not too bothered because it's an old machine, but my wife still uses this one. She's got a few bits and pieces on the hard drive there. Okay, so what I'm going to do here first of all is just show you a fault that may come up. So let's see if I can get this fault to work. Okay, I'm going to turn it on and we're going to flick to the big screen. So there it is, booted up, and we're going to flick over to the screen. I wouldn't say big screen, just the monitor, should I say. And hopefully this fault's going to come up. Oh, first of all, it's stopped straight away. And it's restarted, just to let you know what's happening now. Right, good. It's actually come up this time. It did bypass this a few times, believe it or not. It says here, invalid configuration information. Please set up program. Time of day may not be set. Please run setup. Now this may come up is because the time of the day is not set correctly, or it could be the clock battery, the actual motherboard battery, should I say, i.e. the clock battery as well does the clock. Something like this. If I get it up in the, so you can see it, a little battery like that. Was it the normally a C2032, is it? A little kind of flat battery like that. I've took it out of here, and believe it or not, it kept on booting up with it not being in there, but I finally got it not to boot up. And the reason I've done this is if you get this, is probably the battery needs replacing. But the reason I've also mentioned this here as well, and we'll go back to the PC, is that on your PC, I mean, you may not have an extra graphics card fitted. Here it is here. This is a different graphics card. It's usually got an on-built graphics card on the machine, and people buy another graphics card to boost the graphics while you're playing games, etc. So they install a graphics card. Now your machine may have one of these installed. Now you see this message on the screen. While you got this plugged in, which I have here, let's just come down here so you can see that. There's the output here from this graphics card. While you got it plugged into your monitor, that message on some machines that I've come across doesn't always come up. The screen just stays blank because this graphics card here hasn't kicked in. It hasn't kicked in, so it's displaying no graphics. So we've got no idea that is a fault. So what I would say, it's just a general kind of tip here really, is before your machine's not working for some reason or the other, if you've got one of these graphics card fitted, take it out and use the onboard graphics. You'll see another socket on the side down here that you're in, and it may be, in fact I'll sling the machine around in a minute just to give you an idea of what to look for, but you may have to get another cable as well, because not all onboard graphics on the motherboard have got an HDMI. Some of them just got the D socket. We'll look at that in a second, but like I say, before you start any diagnostics, I would take out the graphics card, get that out of the equation straight away. Okay, I don't want to change the cameras too much. I want to try and keep it in the same place. But this is the HDMI I've got coming out at the moment through that graphics card, that internal graphics card I've fitted into the machine. But this is the graphics normally would come out is on this D. This is the on-board graphics on this D connector here, and it's also got an HDMI. If I move this lead out of the way, next to it, if I try and move that right out of the way, that's it. So you've got a D and an HDMI. So take this card out and plug your monitor into either one of these. Now if you've only got a D, then you have to plug your monitor using that D socket. It's just a tip there, like I say, it doesn't always display through this card if you've got a fault on the board. On some machines, on most machines it does, but on some it doesn't. So a bit long-winded here, just telling you that, but it's just a good tip. So let's get on with some more faults. Okay, just before I jump ahead, you may want to know where that battery is. You'll see it on the motherboard. There's mine there. Just look at the motherboard, you'll see a battery, and it's a CR2032 in this case, 3 volts. So you just literally push in there and you'll ping it up with your fingers. It's fairly straightforward. Just push there and ping up, then place your new battery in there. So that's where it goes if it was that fault. Okay, in this part of the video, I'm going to show you a machine. I'm going to turn it on and it's going to turn itself off. Basically what the video is all about, but thrown these other ones in there as well, just to give you some idea of these other faults. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug it in, because it's unplugged at the moment, and turn it on. Hopefully you see I plugged it in, the fan went round there, and LED's coming over here. I'm not too sure if you can see that. Hopefully you can see that LED there. What I'll do is I'll just lift the camera up a bit, and there's an LED there. I just want you to keep an eye on that if you can as well. So hopefully it's going to do this fault here as it should do. I'm going to bring the camera up actually, so I'm going to turn it on now, and here we go. And as you can see straight away the LED's gone out, the fan stops. We've got nothing on the screen. You're going to have to trust me on that. There's nothing on the screen. So we're going to try and turn it on again. Don't always come back on again. And it hasn't. I'm pressing the button here and getting no response at all. So what we're going to do is unplug it again. Something you may have done yourself is unplug it and give it, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes or something. I'm going to probably speed it up a bit here. I may not leave it off for 3 or 4 minutes, just a few seconds, and see if we can get to do that again. Because sometimes it does come on for a bit longer. So we've got it on there. LED's come on and gone off. So we're going to turn it back on again now, and hopefully nothing's happened again. I'm pressing it, nothing at all. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pause the video. I'm going to leave it off for a few minutes. Okay, I unplugged it for a few minutes. I've plugged it back in, I haven't turned it back on again. Just want to let you know the LED lights come back on. Not turned it back on again. The screen's blank, obviously it's off, so I'm going to turn it on. And hopefully we can, there we go, we've got something here. But straight away it's turned itself back off again there. The LED's gone out, the fan stopped there, come on and stopped. And I press this button a few more times, getting no response out of it whatsoever. Now what does happen sometimes, you press this button here, the on button, the power button, and it may come on and seem like it's going to boot up for maybe 30 seconds or so, and then just straight away turn itself back off again. The LED may stay lit if you've got, and they've not always got an LED on your board. It's just showing this one because it's got an LED. Not all boards have, but that's an indication you've got some power there as well. Like I say, it may come back on for about 30 seconds, look like it's going to boot up, then just completely stop again, as is now. So that's a fault that can happen, not always exactly the same as this. So now we're going to try and whittle away to try and find out what's caused this. So what I'm going to do is put it down the camera here, and in this case scenario, what I would do is I'll just unplug it to start off with, so it's unplugged, and I'll start disconnecting a few things that may be causing some power issues or something like that, just in case the CD drive has gone faulty on the power. I'll undo the power and the data as well. Same with the hard drive, undo the data and the power, just in case that's drawing the power supply to turn itself off. Here's the power supply, if I just move the camera forward a bit. Here's the power supply, just in case it's causing that to auto shut down. So now all that's plugged in is the memory, the board and that. So I'll give it a little go now and plug it back in. It's spun round, I'm not too sure if you can see this, this leads in the way. Yeah, let's just move this out of the way. Give you, the LED could come on for a few seconds, gone back off again. And I'm pressing the button now and we're still getting nothing. Now I could leave it off for a few minutes like I did earlier. Okay, I've left it off for a few minutes. I'm going to plug it back in. Here's the plug. And see what happens now. Fan LED on the fan. fan's gone off. LED stayed on at the moment, hopefully you can see that. So we're going to give it a push, we're going to turn it on now. There we go, it's come on. But straight away the LED's died and the fan, as soon as I press that button, that's what's happened. So I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to unplug it and I'm going to take the memory out this time. Just whip both of them out, put them on the side there for a second. I'm going to give it one more go. So now all we've got is the motherboard basically plugged in, power supply to the motherboard, and that is it. As you can see, come on, and went off. We're going to turn it back on, but pressing the button, no response whatsoever. So that indicates it's either, to me, it's a power supply. There's only two things plugged in now. There's a power supply and the motherboard, so it's either one of them two causing some problems. So what I think I'll do is change over this power supply and see if that's what's caused the problem. Okay, for the power supply, I've undone 3 screws at the side here, 3 screws. I've undone them, and we're going to take this out. So I'm just going to show you me taking this out. I'm going to move these out of the way. I'm going to give ourselves a little bit of room here. So what I'm going to do is, this is unplugged. I'm going to get this hard drive out. It's unplugged at the moment, so I'm just going to take the hard drive out of the way, plonk that on my seat over there. Now these wires will get in the way, even though they're not part of the power supply. These 2 wires here, they're colour coded. Lucky enough, that's green. It can only go to the green one on the motherboard. And this is kind of like a light orange, well, yellow colour. It's not orange, yellow colour. That can only go to the yellow. Make sure when you put them back, you line them up correctly. We're going to get the power supply, like I say, out, and we've got a little down the side here. You probably can't see it, the camera angles, but it's a little thing you just push down, a little bit of aluminium. It's got a little bit of green on it, just indicating that may be doing something. It's just holding that power. Once I've undone them 3 screws, it's just holding that power supply in. So I'm going to push that. It's going to let that power supply loosen up. I'm about to wiggle it out of the board, like so. I managed to get myself tangled up here, but I've done a very good job there. If I've demonstrating that, what have I done there? There we go. It's just tangled up on this clip. I thought I untangled it before I actually started the video. Obviously I didn't. It's quite a bit dusty, as you can see, but there's a little clip that holds these wires in. I forgot to undo, which I thought I did undo. So we're going to pull that forward. CD drive is in the way a little bit, but not too much. I'll move this out of the way. And we've got a big, massive connection here. It's just got a little clip on the side, which we're just going to push inwards like that. Push it that way inwards and lift out. The camera will probably go flying. There we go. So that's come out there. That great big clip's come out of the motherboard. We've got another wire. Oh, I did loosen that one. That goes around the side here. There's only 2 connections to the motherboard, which is just down the bottom here. So if I just move the camera down there, this is where this other wire goes. Down to this here. Again, just a little clip. You're going to push it inwards like that and lift out. And that's come out, and that is it there. And that, after it's got stuck, is the power supply completely out off the motherboard. So, as luck would have it, I've got a spare one that's been tested, got good on it, so we know this one works. So we're going to put this in. This goes in exactly the same way as we took the other one out. So it's a matter of getting it in there at an angle, getting it in that clip. Remember, there's a clip there holding it in, so it's just pushing it down to the board and pushing it along that clip, and there you can hear it clipped in. That's in there. We've got to put 3 screws in the side here. Let's just move this back up a bit so you can see. Sorry, I just clipped that back in there. You didn't see that. So if I put, whoops, I've got it wedged up against the speaker. Not easy to get the camera angles. That's why I don't like doing live videos. I prefer to do pictures, but in this particular case I decided to do a live one. So we're going to take this back out again, and I'll just put it back in as we took the other one out, in like that, so it lays flat like that. Remember, we had that clip there. Just push it down and push along, and it will clip down that clip. There you go, clip back in position. It's not solid, but it won't fall out this way. Need to put the 3 screws back in here, and that's back in. Then what we're going to do is tuck these wires back in on these clips. There's one clip there. Move this out of the way. We're going to push that clip into there, nice and firm onto the motherboard there. I'm going to come down here, just so you can get that kind of angle. You will notice, excuse me, these other parts here as well. Sorry, this actually went to the CD-ROM. I forgot to tell you on that, as I undone it from the CD-ROM to test further, that was actually connected to the CD-ROM. So you may get one that's connected to your CD-ROM, and one up the top here, if I just move up here, that was connected to your hard drive. So undo them before you take the power supply out, but you would have undone them for that testing I did earlier where I undone everything, and it was just basically the power supply and the motherboard left. So if you remember that just a few minutes ago. So that goes in there, and we just got this final lead down the bottom here. There's only really 2 leads that goes to the motherboard, and we're just going to push that in position, and it clicks in nice and firm. So that's it. So now remember, we took these other 2 leads at the top here, green and yellow. So just make sure you line them up properly, which I'm hoping to do at a dodgy angle here. That's the green one, and this is the yellow. Okay, so we're not going to plug anything else in, that's all in there. We'll sort that CD-ROM out in a minute and the hard drive out in a minute. But we'll plug the memory in there, I think. We'll stick the memory back in there, that's not going to work. So hopefully you can see me putting the memory back in. Let's just make sure they click in nicely. No need to do this really, but I'm just going to do it in this case. And we're going to put the memory in here, just so it's out of the way really, and it's back in there. That's back in. But the monitor's on, so we're going to plug it in now, and hopefully we're going to get something. Oh, didn't put the 3 screws in, but yeah, don't forget to put the 3 screws in, as it's going to wobble about that power supply a little bit. So we've got it on, we've got the LED, the fan spun as we put it on. We're going to press, fan started back up, LED stayed on. Looks promising. We're going to flick over to our screen. Ah, and there it is. We're booted up. But we haven't got any hard drive plugged in, got nothing plugged in, so we should get an error come up on the screen in a minute that no boot device has been found. Invalid time of day has not been set, so we've got to do that. I've replaced the battery, so that's okay. F1 to continue, so I'm going to press F1, my keyboard is plugged in. It is plugged in. Oh, I pressed escape. Pressed escape by mistake there. So I pressed F1, and a bit noisy that fan, isn't it? On that, a bit noisy that one. Yeah, actually you have to change the fan now, even though the power supply works. It's a little bit noisy, isn't it? Right, okay. So did boom, 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 boom. But down the bottom here, no boot device found. Press any key to reboot. So our hard drive's not plugged in. So that's something we can do. We can put that hard drive back in there and get the machine all going. So this machine's going to be working fine now. Let's just come down to it. Though that fan is a bit noisy. So even though the power supply is working, it's a little bit on the noisy side. But the machine's going, and we found the fault there. It was the power supply that was causing that problem. Okay, I'm going to put all this machine back together. Then I'm going to get my machine out and show you a couple more faults to look out for. Okay, in this next part of the video, this is my machine now. I'm going to induce a few faults and see what comes up on the screen, maybe lead you in a direction. It's not a definite, but may lead you in a direction of what's causing the problem to your machine, i.e. the power supply I showed a little bit earlier. So now we're going to introduce a memory fault, and for this what I'm going to do is just going to, using my machine, I'm just going to loosen this stick here. Just bring the camera down a bit there. Just going to loosen this stick a little bit here, just so some pins are in. That should be enough, and some are out. So a memory fault. I mean, I could use a dodgy bit of memory, but I haven't got any. But just to give you an idea what may happen, what kind of response you're going to get out of the machine, and maybe what to look for. So okay, so I'm going to turn it on now. As you can see, it's spinning round. We're going to look up at the monitor, and we've got nothing on the monitor whatsoever. And the machine plugged in. I'll keep you updated with the monitor, but basically nothing comes up there. It's just a dead display, but we have got the fan going round there. So in this case, I'm going to turn it off just by holding my finger on the power button, and eventually it turns itself off like so. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that stick completely out. And this is what you can do to try and whittle the way down, especially if you've got 4 banks here or 2 banks. If you've just got 1 stick, it's going to be a little bit more awkward to find out if it is a memory fault. But if you've only got 2 sticks, take one of the 2 sticks out and do another boot. If that comes on, then great, you know that it's the other stick you've just taken out as a fault. If it doesn't come on, then put the other stick back in and take the one you left in out. So you're vice versa between you, alternating between the 2 sticks, and hopefully that way it may come on in one configuration or the other, indicating that 1 stick is not working. It's very unlikely that 2 sticks would go at once if you've got 2 sticks. So in this case, I've got 4 sticks. I'm just going to take one completely out, the one that I didn't sit properly, take it completely out. So this could be a faulty stick. But like I say, if you've got 4, then you're going to have to do a combination of 4. You're going to have to take 3 out, 1 out, or you could just take 3 out and do 1 at a time, something like that. But just configure them around, a little bit of a combination. So anyway, just going to show you it now. We've taken that, kind of, even though it's not faulty, I lifted it off the track a bit, a faulty memory bank out, memory stick out. So see what happens now. So that it's booted up, we're going to flick over to the screen. Okay, so it didn't boot. The fan was continuously spinning. What I would do at this stage is also, I forgot to mention, is make sure your monitor's definitely working. It's turned on and it's definitely working. You may have to plug something else into it. If it's an HDMI one, maybe plug a game console or a Virgin box or something like that to confirm the monitor is working, because no picture on the screen could be the monitor. Also double check the lead, the HDMI lead, the D sub lead, whatever it is you've got connecting the PC to the monitor with. Just double check that, make sure you've got power going to the monitor, all that kind of stuff. So what I've done now is I've taken out 3 pieces of RAM and just left 1 piece here, just 1 piece of RAM. So we're down to the bare minimum. So the case would be now is we're going to determine if it definitely is the RAM or not, or if the fault is somewhere else. So we took 3 out. The likelihood of all the 4 of them going is very, very high. The chances of 1 of them, there may be 2 of them pretty high, and like I say, all 4 of them very high. So we take it that at least 1 of these 4 is still going to be working. So we're just going to rotate them round 1 at a time. Just going to put 1 in at a time and try and boot the computer, and hopefully it springs into life. If you do all 4 of them 1 at a time and it doesn't spring into life, then it's very, very unlikely it's the RAM. We'll be looking somewhere else on the board and looking maybe at another indication of what the fault can be, i.e. Looking maybe if it's the power supply by doing the test there, looking if it's the hard drive. But with the hard drive, you usually get a message on the screen, which I'll show you shortly anyway. So let's try it with just 1 piece of RAM. I know this one's working. I just wanted to cut the video a bit short. Don't want to keep putting them in. You've seen one where it wasn't working. This one's working. So we're going to boot it up and see what happens. So as we boot it up, as normal, the fan turns on. We're going to be looking at the monitor now, hoping to get some clues on the monitor. And there you go, it's come on now. So we know that we're up and running. Just going to see if we're getting any other error messages on the screen or anything like that. But no, it's booted straight into Windows. So we've concluded that one of our RAM was faulty at least. And we could go through each of them, go through each one singly each time, until finally 1 of them won't boot, or maybe 2 of them won't boot. And you know they're the 1 or 2 that's faulty. Okay, I'm going to force a couple of different errors now. The first one we'll do is the hard drive not booting, so just disconnect the hard drive and we're going to see what happens here. Turn it on. We'll look at our screen. And hopefully you can see that it's a bit, if I get over here, let's take this light out of the way a bit. Maybe I'll see that a bit clearer. Still a bit too much light there. On there we've got an alert. The amount of system memory has changed. I put the memory back. Let's just show you that. So that's okay, that's changed. Hard drive not found. So we've got no hard drive. Press F key to continue. I won't bother because there's no hard drive. Well, I can. I'll press it just to show you what does happen. No boot device found. So we know there's a problem with the hard drive. So if your hard drive was actually plugged in, the cable was plugged in, it's not working, then you know you've got a problem with your hard drive. So that's pretty straightforward. So we're going to come out of that. I'm going to reconnect my hard drive. I'm going to cause a couple more problems now. The next one is going to have the CPU fan. This keeps the CPU underneath nice and cool. I'm going to disconnect that because you may get a fan that's stopped spinning and you're going to get something like this. So we're going to turn it on. Got no indication here of it being on. We're going to go over to the screen. And we've got an alert here at the top. Hopefully you can see that. This light here on this screen, if I can just tilt that a bit more forward maybe. It's got an alert here, CPU0 fan failure. So that's our fan failure. Best not to continue because it wants to keep that processor nice and cool, especially if you're doing some work. So if you get that failure, then you need to change this fan. And it's not hard really. You can buy this for your machine. You have to find out which fan. They're pretty bog standard. Maybe the only thing would be is the end here on some maybe slightly different. So just make sure you get the right one for your machine. And we just got 4 screws, one here, one here, one here, and one there. 4 little screws. Take the fan off and replace it, and that's a straightforward job. So let's turn the PC off from that. Okay, of course, another problem, and it's over here. Let's get so you can see me. There's a fan here that keeps the hard drive cool in this particular machine. A little fan. And I've disconnected that, so we're going to get an hard drive failure fan here come up. So we're going to turn it on. Let's come back down. Fan's back on there normally for the CPU. And we're going to go over to our screen. And we've got an alert, hard drive fan failure. So we need to check it out, or replace that fan there, which is straightforward enough. This hard drive just pings out. The front of this case will come off. There's a few clips here, 1, 2, 3 clips here, and that'll fall down. I've just got a couple of screws, probably 4 screws holding that fan in. Again, make sure you get the right one, the right lead, and my particular lead is here. Hopefully you can see that. If I can actually hold it without it falling back in there. It goes all the way around. It's got a little plug on it there, with quite a few little wires on it. Hopefully you can see that. So it's just getting the right fan again for that, for your particular machine. Okay, I put everything back to normal, so fingers crossed my machine's going to work. So we're going to slide it on and see what happens. Everything's back to normal, memory's back in there, all the fans have been connected, and hopefully we're going to be in business. Let's go to the screen, see if it gives us any message or anything. No, there you go, we're going to boot into Windows, so we're all fine here. Machine back up and running. So we went through the power supply, the CPU fan, the memory, the fan on the hard drive not being connected, and that was about it, I think. Yeah. So just a few fault finding things that may lead you in the right direction. Again, it could be the actual CPU that's gone. I mean, if it turns on, nothing on the screen, you change the memory. It could well be the CPU's gone. They do go from time to time. Pretty rare, I would say, but they do go. So that's something else to bear in mind. But other than that, like I say, hopefully somewhere there, it could be the motherboard. Any component of the motherboard could fail. More often than not, gives you glitches and stuff like that sometimes, when a part goes on the motherboard, but it can completely be dead as well. But that's it. My machine's back up and running. Not that it looks like it's booting into Windows, but it is up and running now. So yeah, I'll say thanks for watching. Until the next video, I'll see you all soon.